So, as you may or may not know, I work at my local movie theater, which is more than just a movie theater. It also has like an arcade and bowling alley and a bar, but everybody just calls it the movie theater. Um, and so I've been working there for almost 4 months now, and it's technically my first job, my first actual job. Um, but I'm gonna tell you all the things I do at my job, and then yeah. Um, so I'm an usher, which basically means I'm not behind concessions, and I do literally anything else. Um, Basically what we do is like during a rush, when you're most likely to come to the movie theater during a rush, um, like either I'll be pointing, which is just directing you from the line to a register. I'll be running, which is behind concessions, and I'll be making your popcorn and your ices and your nachos. Um, I'll be at Stump, which is the podium where we scan your tickets or tear off your tickets or both. Um, I'll be seating, which is only for like mostly sold out theaters. If it is completely sold out, we'll double seat, so there'll be me and somebody else. Um, and I'll just look at your ticket, direct you to your seat if you need it. Um, or I'll be floating, which is literally doing anything else. Oh, or greeting, which is opening the door. Um, and then on weekends, we have usher rotations, which is just every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, somebody gets picked to go to bowling at whatever time or the arcade at whatever time. But that's only on weekends. And then after rush, we kind of just clean up and then split our breaks and then wait for the movies to let out. So that way we can clean the theater. Um, Something I forgot to mention, people love, like, hanging out in the theater after the movie's over. Like, there was one time during Sinners, like, we were cleaning a theater, and there was, like, a group of girls just kind of hanging out, and we had to be like, you can't be in here, we have to clean. You might have tickets for the next showing, and it's certainly not in this theater, but you have to leave. And then they leave, and then sit on a bench, and then leave the building, which, interesting. And you would think that if you go to a movie theater, you kind of know what the dealio is, you know? Like, you buy a seat, you sit in your seat. Which a lot of people don't realize for some reason. It's mostly old people that don't realize that. Like, one time I was at Stump, and I tore off this old couple's tickets, and, like, I went to go hand back, like, the actual ticket, and the husband was like, why do we need these? And I was like, you need to know where you're sitting. 'Cause, like, why would you buy a seat and then sit somewhere else, is the thing about it. And also, like, when we still had Minecraft and when it was, like, selling out constantly, these two, like, I want to say, like, middle-aged women, but they were probably, like, in their 20s. They were like, we got seats, that were apart from each other. Is it okay if we sit next to each other? No, it's not. Sit where you bought your seat. It's not that hard. If you buy, like, G1 and sit in, like, I-95, like, that's not at all where you're supposed to be, really. I don't know why I said 95. we don't have 95. And also, like, the messes that people make at the movies is, like, absolutely abhorrent. Like, I have had to clean up pretty much anything you can imagine except for vomit. Probably. Like, I've cleaned up popcorn spills, candy spills, nacho cheese just hanging out on a seat, icy drinks, just people really just be doing anything with their concessions other than eating and drinking them. And I'm sure it's mostly kids making these messes, but like, if you're an adult making these messes and just not cleaning it up, what is your problem? Why do you hate us? And like, some people do this to give us a job to do, which already is not necessarily, I was gonna say it's hard enough, but it's not really hard. It's just tedious and frustrating. It's already frustrating enough, but making a mess just so we have something to do is like so privileged. Okay? Like, I'm sorry you got bored during your movie and just decided to spill your popcorn everywhere, but like, take some responsibility maybe. Also, there's been like a number of times when like people have brought in outside food and drink and like left the packaging of the outside food and drink just hanging out on the floor, which, like, okay, interesting, because you're not supposed to have it. Why would you just leave it out in the open for everybody to see? And like, that has happened before. People have come in with like outside food and drinks and would just hang out in the lobby, and we have to be like, hey, you can't have that in here. And they're like, oh, it's okay, and it's like, it's not, you're going against the rules. Most of the people that do that are like teenagers and tweenagers because they think they're better than everybody else. And I recognize I'm saying that as a teenager, but like, if you have nothing better to do than to just loiter outside of a movie theater with your friends, then I don't know. I'm getting my money up, okay? Speaking of the teenagers, we had to get a security guard and to add no loitering to, like, our rules because it gets so egregiously bad. The worst offenses are usually, like, weekends during school. But where it's the summer, they've been coming in at, like, 6 and 7 on weekdays, which is, like, an hour or two before we close to the public, because there's no more movies showing. You can't have a bowling lane. So, but, like, during weekends, it's the worst. And it's always in the evenings. They never come in during the day. Which I think is kind of weird. But, like, they will... Okay, so I feel like I should mention this now, but, like, our movie theater is, like, positioned, like, kind of in the back behind, like, a bunch of fast food places. And so, like, right in front of us is, like, Burger King and Santa Fe, which I know that is a fast food, but... And then, like, next to the Santa Fe is, like, Arby's and McDonald's. And then next to Burger King is Applebee's, which, again, not fast food, really. But, they will, like, travel. I have seen them, like, run from our movie theater to Burger King and come back. Like, there was one time, I was greeting, and this guy was, like, he had on, like, a ski mask and was, like, loitering outside with his friends. And then, like, everybody came, like, at some point, everybody came in, and I was like, okay, I can stop greeting now. And then I went back inside, I went on my break, and then me and my friends were like, let's go to Burger King, right? And the ski mask guy, He ran from our movie theater to the Burger King just to go to the bathroom and not get any food. Which is, okay, we have a bathroom. It's open to the public. I hope you know that. I hope you do. And, like, some people will, like, get food and drinks from Burger King and come back with, like, the crowns and just throw the crowns everywhere. Some people will go to Burger King and get food and drinks and then bring the food and drinks indoors. It's like you can't do that. You have to leave it outside. And, like, while greeting, I've seen, like, the strangest things ever. Like, there was one day I was greeting, and there was, like, a bunch of people outside, and I was trying to keep an eye on them. And, like, next thing I know, there's a police officer, and I was like, is this our security guard? Who is this? And, like, right before this, somebody asked me to get a manager, because, like, some kind of confrontation had happened. And so, like, I went over my walkie and I was like, hey, somebody's asking for a manager out here, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And so they talk to the kid, and then they come back in. And then, like, a few minutes later, there's a police officer. And I'm like, did we call the police on these kids? But no. It had been called on one particular kid, by the parents. And this kid had to have been like 12 years old, right? So he was like, oh no. And his mom was like, yeah, you better come over here. And so, like, they talked to the police officer and then like a couple other kids, and, they eventually left. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. This is so cool. And, like, my supervisor came out here, not to be confused with the manager. The usher supervisor is just some guy, really. And I was like, I have no idea what's happening out here. And then a kid came by, and he was like, oh, that kid over there, like, ran away from home, and, like, his friend brought him here, and I guess he forgot to turn off his location or something, and da-da-da-da-da, and it was so weird. I certainly don't get paid enough to deal with that, or really anything that happens over there. And so after our rush is over, and we kind of just have to kill time, either before our break or before, like, another movie lets out. One of the things that we do is movie checks, which, what the managers want you to do is to make sure the movie's, like, operating normally, and it's not, like, super loud or super quiet, or if, like, the lights are still on when they're not supposed to be, or, like, making sure that, everybody's in their seats and not, like, on their phones or vaping or going to Pound Town informally, which I haven't had to deal with yet, or just generally not being rowdy, and then leave and check another one. Nobody really does that. Like, when we had Snow White, I was watching it, okay? I would go in there, and I would just stand there and watch the movie, and I was like, that's interesting, why would they do that? And, like, I've done this with several other movies, during my time, and, like, I don't care, like, literally the other day, me and my friend were doing movie checks, and we had walked into Mission Impossible, and we were just, like, talking and laughing the whole time, because it sounded like they were clubbing seals in this movie. And, like, that's not what a movie check's for, but also, like, they didn't do anything about it, so, we do everything in the hopes that a manager doesn't see it. That's not really true. But, Like, there are so many things that we do, and we just hope that a manager just doesn't kind of walk in on us doing it. For example, there are a lot of camera dead spots where, like, you can't see, like, if you're looking at the cameras, you can't see anything. And, like, we will sit down, we will get on our phones, and we will just do anything besides our job. One of these spots is our Omni Arena, which is in our arcade, and it's basically like a virtual reality thing. And, like, there's no cameras in there. Like, most of the time, if you're Omni attendant, you will sit down, you will play on your phone, and you will do anything other than your job. And if you're bowling attendant and there's nobody in there, you will go in Omni and you will hang out with the Omni attendant. And unfortunately, they've cracked down on this and they want you to stay in your place when you're on rotation, which is kind of whatever, but what if we're bone dead, okay? When we had Minecraft, like when we first got it, we had gotten like a few different kinds of buckets and these dome cups where like the lid was a dome and it had like a little scene in it. Most of the employees got a cup, and we never got any again, and we completely sold out. And I'm sure like a few customers got one, but it was mostly the employees. I would say same with the Lilo and Stitch buckets, but they sold out like crazy. Like, I came in on a Saturday at 12. No, it wasn't at 12. I lied. I don't remember when it was. It might have been at like 3. But we had gotten these Lilo and Stitch buckets, and they had like sold out in the middle of the first rush, which is at like 12. Like, it goes from 12:30 to 1:30. So that was mostly the customers. Same with the Minecraft buckets. But in the scenario that we don't sell out of the collectibles, they will go in what we have dubbed Theater 6, which is where like the overflow of that goes, along with some of the arcade stuff. And some of the bar stuff too, but multiple people have stolen from Theater 6, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't one of them, okay? I went through the Sonic stuff, and I got me a little Tails figure, okay? Speaking of which, I, like, find all kinds of stuff on the ground, at our movie theater. Like, I've picked up dollar bills before. I've picked up, like, toys that kids have left behind. I've picked up keychains, pens, earrings, like, you name it, I probably picked it up. Right now I have a piggy bank filled with, like, the change that I find on the floor, because it's an exponential amount. Like, I probably get paid more from the change on the ground than I do, like, on payroll. That's not real, but there are a lot of things that we have to deal with that we certainly don't get paid enough to deal with. For example, drunk people in bowling. For whatever reason, people love to get drunk and go bowling. Which is very convenient for them because we have a bar right next to the bowling, and you can order food from the bar and they will bring it to your lane. My first day closing bowling, there was a party at lane 8, and they were, like, hammered, like, drunk out of their minds, and, like, they wouldn't leave, and, like, I had to clean their lane. I had to. It was my job, and they just wouldn't leave. And I had to get a manager to be like, you guys gotta go. And another thing, people love to stay when they can't. Like, I've had to get a manager multiple times to get people to leave. Just anything. I haven't called a manager on too many customers in my time. But there was one day when it was Minecraft and I was seating, and there was like a big seating issue because like somebody just decided to sit in the wrong seat for fun, to sit with their friends, and then the people that they had sat in their seat sat in a different seat, and then those seats belonged to somebody else, and then the people who bought those seats came to me and were like, there's somebody in our seats, and we had to pause the movie to get this resolved. And there was one time it was a similar thing happened, and it was like a chain, but it was in the recliners, or just the first two sections of like our theaters. And like these people were like, we think somebody's sitting in our seats. I look over, empty, and I was like, nope, there's not. And they were just like, oh, well, okay. And then they got up, and it's like, maybe check your seats before you sit in them. Don't, hey, what are we doing? Most of my job is just standing around and talking to the other ushers or concessions, depending. They really don't. The management doesn't like that. But it's like, what do you want us to do? We have 20 people this rush, and there's nobody in the lobby. We will just stand around and talk all day. And that's the best part of the job, really. I don't care about anything else. I just get to hang out with my friends. And that's all that matters. I've only opened once, so I can't really speak on that, but I like most weekends, I will get there before first rush even starts. Like sometimes I'll come in at 11 or 12, and like it's so quiet and peaceful, and it's awesome. Unlike during closing, which is worse by a lot, especially on a weekend. Like, I will be working on coolers, and there'll just be like people, and it's awful. Or like doing doors, which is just cleaning the glass doors. Like, people will be like trying to come in while you're cleaning, and it's low-key frustrating. Also, as one of our perks, if you have so many hours of like working time during like a certain period, you can go to a premiere of a movie before we show it to the public. I did this for Minecraft. My first time doing this was for Minecraft, and like I was having so much fun. I was with all my friends, and I was like so excited. I was having like the best time of my life, and like when I got done, like when the movie was over, I was like, that was the best movie in the world. I've never seen a movie better. And then when I rewatched it on like a school trip, I was like, I'm so bored. And like every time after that I've watched it, I'm like, I'm so bored. Like I didn't expect it to warp my view like that, but it did. And I'm actually going to one tonight. It's for live action How to Train Your Dragon, and it's a couple of my friends' last days, and it's really kind of sad, but they got a cake. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Another one of our perks is that with every paycheck, we get a free movie ticket or a bowling pass. It can be used for either. A free concessions thing. We have an employee game card that refills every paycheck with like so many points. You can't really use the points. Like if you win the jackpot in something, like you can't exchange your points for something in the prize hub with your employee card, I should say. Like you can buy another game card and then get something in prize hub, but like you can't use your employee card for that. There's probably other things that I'm not putting together. Oh, when a movie comes out, you can ask a manager and they will put your name down for a poster. I did that for Tron Ares, I think it's called, for my dad. Which I learned about this like after we started showing Minecraft, which would have been a movie that I wanted a poster of. Um, but if we get a super cool movie that I want to see, then maybe. That's gonna be it. Yeah. Bye. See you guys later.